guys, welcome to
the brand new podcast, Young and in Love. Young and in Love.
Young and in Love.
This is the podcast, Young and in Love. Hello, young lovers, and welcome to another episode of Young and in Love. Young and in Love. Again, I'm Josh.
And I'm Taylor.
We're the Andersons. And this is Young and in Love. Young and in Love. Young and in Love.
Young and in Love.
This is Young and in Love.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Young and in Love. I'm Taylor, and
I'm Josh.
Here you go. Josh and I recently just celebrated our 1-year anniversary in Savannah, Georgia last weekend. So today we're going to be talking about that.
Before we get started, how about you tell everybody what you got going on in your life?
I am a nanny. Well, I guess not. I recently stopped nannying for the family I was nannying for, and am in a search looking for another family to nanny for. Still doing school. And the big thing I'm doing, I am an online fitness coach. So I do one-on-one coaching. I help get clients set up with a meal plan and a fitness program that works for them, and hook them into an online accountability group where they're surrounded by a ton of other women all over the country in different stages of life who are all trying to better themselves and just empower one another. And we check in daily, and we have fun, and we have giveaways and prizes, and we do fun challenges all the time. And you basically get to meet your own virtual best friend for life. I've met some cool people so far, so it's pretty cool.
Okay. A promise of best friends for life. I am still working as an architect, an architectural intern. I am not an architect. I don't want to get sued over this. But I recently applied to grad school to go after my Master's of Education. My Master's of Architecture, so that I can become a registered architect. As Taylor said, we were recently in Savannah, Georgia, celebrating our 1-year anniversary. So I am officially 1 year married.
No longer newlyweds? Question mark?
I don't know. I don't know when you draw the line. But I know that I can stop counting by months, so that anytime somebody asks me how long I've been married, all I have to remember is 1 year.
True.
I don't have to go, oh, is it 10? Is it 11?
12 months.
Yeah, it's just, I'm not going by 13 months. I don't have to do any checkups with my doctor. So, that's that. And I also recently joined the men's adult baseball league here in Jacksonville. So I will start playing baseball again, which is very exciting for me.
And wearing baseball pants.
Which is very exciting for Taylor. So that's what we got going on so far. Taylor, in your best summary, how do you think this year has been?
Lots of adjustments, some difficulty, some tears, lots of tears, but also so much laughter and so much love, so much new experiences, and just new things we were able to experience beside one another, and never going one day without feeling so loved and happy, even if the day was hard.
That's a pretty good summary.
Yeah.
My summary would be unexpected. The expectations that our society sets for marriage is by far unrealistic. in its perfection. However, I wouldn't want it to be any other way. I've thoroughly enjoyed this last year, and I've also come to love you more and more with every week that passes.
It definitely gets easier. I feel like I don't want to say like every week because you don't really notice it, but like definitely like every month or so, I feel like every time that passes by, I feel like we have less problems. Like the things that used to bother us don't bother us as much. I don't know. It's definitely just, it feels easier. Maybe we just get stronger, we grow better, but it feels easier now than it did like 3 months in.
Yeah, and we're 1/7 of the way to beating all statistics for divorce. If you guys remember back to like the 3rd or 4th episode, back when we were in single digits, we talked about a statistic that if a couple makes it past 7 years, their statistical probability of getting divorced dramatically reduces. So we're 1/7 of the way there to beating all the odds and just going the whole lifetime to infinity and beyond. So what has been the thing that you have liked the most about the last year?
I don't know. You just get to live life with your best friend. You just, whenever you experience something, whether it's good or bad, like I always have my person to come and talk to, and like I know, like you know me better than anybody, so like you know how to comfort me if I'm sad, or how to like pump me up and celebrate with me. It's just, I don't know. It makes life a whole lot more exciting when I'm doing it with you.
Doing it with you, life and it. I would say by far the best part about this last year for me has been waking up beside you.
Aww.
Yeah. It still surprises me sometimes how happy I can be when I simply wake up and you're right there. It's really cool. And I think it's really neat. So not only sleeping with you, wink, wink, but just waking up next to you.
This podcast has gotten a whole lot more sexual since we started.
Oh, we're just being vulnerable.
It's
Everybody
true.
needs to know. And if our kids ever listen to this later, they could guess as to when they were conceived based on the raunchiness of the podcast and the vulnerability. So, yeah, that's been my favorite part. And what do you think has changed for the better?
I don't know. I feel like we're more we're definitely more comfortable like with each other, but we're also like okay with like not like always like needing something to do. Like I feel like when we were in dating or engaged, like if we like wouldn't like if we like didn't have anything to do, like you just get like bored, and like that almost like causes problems. It's like, why, like I don't know, you just like run out of things to like talk about, or I don't know. I feel like that like now like we can just like do nothing and like still like have fun. Is that like the best thing though? I don't know. I'm really bad at thinking on the spot. We communicate better, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There like isn't a day goes by, like a day that passes where like I don't know like your schedule, or like I feel like you don't know mine. Like we're like pretty much almost always on the same page with like what we need to do, or like things that we like want to do, and like also with like how we're feeling about certain things. I feel like if something's like bothering us, or like if something's on our mind, we bring it up a whole lot sooner than we used to, just to sort of like address them and move on.
Right.
So that's good.
That is really good. Saved us a lot of heartache and a lot of disgruntlement. I was going to say that the biggest change that I have seen in the last year is understanding. And we sort of talked about this yesterday when we were dropping Kaylee off at the airport. But the fact that you even asked me yesterday, do you remember what you asked me?
Oh, how well you know me or something, right?
Yeah, at what point did I feel that I understood you more fully, or just understood you in general, if there was any like specific moment when it clicked. And I said that I don't think I completely understand you now, even after a whole year of living together and being married and like spending a significant amount of time together, that I still don't know exactly how you think, but I am more willing to work with you. Whereas before, it was always me trying to understand what path you were walking or like what you were trying to do, and then analyzing that to see if it was really the best thing that you should have been doing. And now I better understand that we each have our ways of working through things and understanding our personal situations. And I have a better understanding of how you get through those and like how you work through those and how you think through them. So sometimes where before I would get really frustrated if you didn't like communicate or you didn't try and even think about what you were feeling or like why you were doing what you were doing. And I would just get really frustrated because to me, it seemed like you weren't thinking at all. And for me, that was just like inconceivable. Now I know that you just need to like take a step back and try and look at the whole picture first, and that you just need a little bit more time to get that like full picture. So I've like come to understand that about you and therefore have more patience. And then I think you have done the same for me, where you've gone out of your way to try and figure out why I think about everything and why I get frustrated about like sometimes what might seem to you as menial things, but to me makes a big deal. And just like our differences and seeing each other's differences and then working with those instead of trying to fix them, which really helps on the disagreement end, because I am under the firm belief that not only in relationships, but all conflicts in the world come from some level of misunderstanding. So whether that be warfare or business or relationships, that all like anger or conflict is born out of some type of misunderstanding, where somebody didn't completely understand where the other one was coming from, and therefore you have a lack of empathy and a lack of foresight, and therefore you usually jump to a conclusion or make an assumption, and then that's where the conflict arises, because then people aren't seeing eye to eye and they're not communicating well, and then it escalates from there on out. So I think we've done a pretty good job like recently with either squashing those beforehand like you were talking about, or going out of our way preemptively to avoid those situations entirely.
That's what I'll do. Like sometimes like we do things like differently. So sometimes like if I do like my laundry and like your laundry at the same time, like I'll fold my laundry how I like to fold laundry, but then I'll fold your laundry how you like your laundry, just so we don't have to fight about it later. But I don't change my way. I don't know if that actually like helps anything, but it works. So
yeah,
it's whatever.
Right. We each have our reasons for doing things. So I think a good point to bring up though is this idea of contentment, or not. It's not. It's when I'm content with each other's progress, or like with the
complacent.
complacent. Yeah, contentment is like
Happy.
grr.
Contentment is like satisfied.
Contempt, is that
Content.
the other one? Yeah, I know, but what's the one that says that's like when you're angry at someone, like you're...
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. So complacent, that we're not complacent with each other, that we don't settle for where we're at and just assume that like that's the best we're going to get, because that is a dangerous place to be, because in our experience, I don't think we've ever plateaued as a couple. We've either been getting better or things have been getting worse. It's never been just a steady ride. We're either like climbing steadily or we are slowly degrading. So it's like pick your battle, right?
Right.
Might as well fight together to become better than to settle and slowly degrade. And that's a really fine line to walk. And it comes, I think that's just going to be ironed out in each relationship individually. And it all comes with a matter of time and experiences that you share together. That the more time you spend together and the more experiences you have together, going outside of your guys' comfort zone or going outside of that realm of reality that you're used to living in, it's going to expose you to new situations and new thoughts and new people, and that's going to force you guys to grow, or force you individually to grow. And that will always help you grow your relationships, is when you pass through adversity or challenges together, because then you learn to rely on one another and use each other's strengths and lift up each other's weaknesses in order to overcome. So although we've been accepting of some of our little things, I think we've done a really good job of challenging each other to become better individuals and like to be better in our relationships with our respective roles. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be right back with you guys. We're going to take a quick moment and highlight one of our sponsors, Anchor.
So if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let us explain.
It's free. All you need to do is download their app or visit their website, which is anchor.fm.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more.
They will literally take care of all of the distribution services, so all you have to do on the day of is hit publish. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone using the app, or computer if you'd much rather just use the website.
You can even make money from your podcast without even having one listener.
Yeah, without a single listener, they'll find sponsors that are willing to give you a chance and give you a shot at making money.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
So all we ask is that if you have a story to tell, or a message to share, that you download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. When I had an idea to start a podcast, I had no idea where to start. But I had listened to Candace and Casey's Couples Therapy, and they had mentioned an app called Anchor. And I was really intrigued to see how really simple it could be to make a podcast.
Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means that you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad.
So if you always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's Anchor, as in ANCHOR.FM/START, to join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. I can't wait to hear your guys' podcasts. So we had the unique opportunity to go to a wedding on our wedding anniversary,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, first, it was a really beautiful wedding. The location was pretty. The food was good. Just overall, it was really cool. Really intimate ceremony. Sort of cool that we were invited to be at a really close and small ceremony. But yeah, it was nice just seeing like two people like commit to one another, like officially, as like a reminder of the commitments that we made to each other a year ago. And just like all the feelings of like, I don't know, just like all the feelings like that, like we felt a year ago, like they were feeling, and like being in like the same atmosphere, like everyone was celebrating them. It was almost like I was reliving our own our own wedding and our own like wedding celebration afterwards, especially because it looked like our reception did.
Yeah,
it was cool.
With the lights over top. Yeah, it made me really appreciate when people renew their vows. Not the people who like cheat on each other and then feel that it's like necessary. Like they broke their vows so they have to renew them, or like had terrible situations so they have to renew their vows. Anyways, not to be negative, I wanted to be positive. That like it gave me an appreciation for people who like past 15 or like 20 years being married, and then they just decide to renew their vows because it's like a good celebration to remember why they started and like why they're even in the relationship in the first place. And I thought that was really cool to be able to be sitting in someone else's shoes, right? To be looking through someone else's perspective exactly 1 year after we did the same. And to relive that moment. And especially think about the words like of a wedding ceremony, and how you devote yourself and you give yourself to the other, and that you become one, that you need to be this this like one body and one mind, progressing towards one goal. So it was good to remind myself of that and remind myself why I chose you in the first place. So that was also really good. I also thought it was funny how they didn't say I do.
They said I
will.
Yeah, I will.
Which is cool because it has a connotation of, or a denotation, I guess it would technically be a denotation of the future. Not just saying so in the moment, like, right. Oh, I do. Yeah, I accept this commitment. But saying like, oh, I will. And it will be continuous because it isn't over. Mm-hmm. They didn't do it, but they will continue to make that commitment throughout their entire life. I thought that was pretty cool too.
It was cool.
It was odd in the moment, I will say. All of a sudden the priest, I think he was a priest, just said, I will, and then they repeated, I will. And I was like, oh, that was odd. I was waiting for the I do, but that was pretty unique. Anything else about the ceremony or about the weekend in general in Savannah?
I thought we were talking about maybe making Savannah our like celebration spot, like every year, like going to Savannah to celebrate our wedding anniversary, since that's where we celebrated our first anniversary, and we both really like Savannah, so like it'd give us an excuse to go back to Savannah every year. I thought it was a cool idea. I'm not sure if we agreed on it, but it was an idea that I brought up.
Right, I think it's a pretty good idea right now.
Yeah.
Just because we're close, so every year we can go back. I'm not sure if we like end up in California or something.
Fly into Savannah.
Yeah, spend precious vacation days every year to fly to Savannah and then fly back.
Right.
But yeah, I fully agreed in the moment and still agree now. That's a really good idea.
It's a fun city.
Right.
It's nice.
And it's also good to start establishing our own traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've talked about, like, what traditions we want to have before. And I don't think we ever have one. Or ever had brought up one.
Not yet. But it's also, I feel like it's sort of, I mean, maybe I'm just making, like, an excuse. But, like, being in an apartment, I don't know. I feel, I mean, obviously, it's still our house. But...
yeah, it's still our home, even though it's an apartment.
Yeah. I don't know. In my head, I'm just like, oh, you don't do that until you
have a
have a house. But, like, you can still do that. But, I mean, I guess, like, this year was just different because, like, we weren't going to be here for Christmas. So, like, we didn't get a Christmas tree, which was, like, weird. Maybe we'll do that next year. But, like, there's all these, like, traditions, like, I'd like to, like, do or incorporate. But, like, some of them, like, I feel like we wouldn't do, like, until we have kids or, like...
Right.
I don't know, you know? Is that normal? Do normal people do that? Question for a friend? Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend. Do normal people have traditions without kids? Or do traditions only start when you have kids? Maybe we need to find someone who has, like, one kid who's less than 8, like, or maybe 2 kids, like, less than 4. Like, hey, now that you have kids, do you have traditions? Something to pass on, I guess, is what a tradition is. It used to be, like, super sentimental, right?
Right.
Like, super family oriented.
But, like, my family, I mean, we have, like one, like, it was just, like, our, like, immediate family tradition. Like, I don't know if that's something, like, I'm gonna carry on.
Well, yeah, but you didn't have a lot of extended family.
Right.
So.
Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. We gonna do tacos on Christmas Eve?
I'd be cool with that. I like that better than Christmas food.
Yeah. Matching pajama set every year.
Oh, for sure.
See? You got it. You got a couple going.
Do you agree with the
Anyways.
saying that the first year of marriage is the hardest?
No. No. And I don't know why everybody says that. They said that, like, their first year marriage sucked. In no way did I think this last year sucked. Like, yeah, we got into some arguments and, like, we didn't understand each other for, like, a day or two at a time. But we were never so stubborn that we just let things stir and, like, bother us for too long.
Yeah.
And, like, sex has been great. So that's something. Like, we're not holding any grudges after a year. We both still cuddle every night. Even when we do get in an argument, I still can get you to kiss me afterwards.
Yeah, I think even, like, when we were pissed at each other, we never not cuddle when we go to bed that night.
Right.
And, like, normally by the morning, like, it's gone. Like, it's over. We've never had, like, a huge, like, massive fight.
Right, which I think is less about our situation and more about our perspective.
Right.
I think we've done a really good job at keeping a big picture perspective. And in our case, because of our beliefs, an eternal perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that we believe that after we die, we will still have each other and we'll still live as a family for all of eternity, helps us get through these little
simple
tiny things, that may hold up other people. But even if you don't believe in God or, like, life after death, 80 years is still a freaking long time.
Yeah.
Like, after 1 year, doing this for, like, 79 more times, that's a long time.
Yeah, I was gonna say almost, like, sometimes, like, a reason to, like, not fight over, like, what you fight over, like, stupid stuff. Everyone fights over stupid stuff or, like, money or sex. Like, that's, like, basically what you fight about, like, always. But, like, I feel like almost, like, a reason for me not to, like, bring something up. Well, I'm not a fighter in general, but I mean, fighting over having the same argument or, like, having the same fight and, like, our first year and, like, doing that for, like, what, 70 more years, like, 60 more years? Whoa, no. Just, like, let it go. Like, something that I feel like they're just, like, not worth fighting about?
Right.
Like, they're just, like, not a big deal to even, like, waste your breath. Because, like, I know that, like, if I don't, like, bring anything up or, like, don't say it, like, it's not something big enough to, like, cause an issue. Like, I'm not going to be pissed about it for, like, longer than, like, 10 minutes. So, like, just don't say anything. You know? Like, just get over it.
Yeah, I think it comes back down to that point we made a couple weeks ago that happiness is a choice.
Yeah.
And we've chosen to be happy rather than be upset. And the fact that we look at our disagreements or our arguments as moments of unhappiness, and we'd much rather be happy. So we either get them out and put them in front of each of us and we like talk through it immediately so that we can get rid of that unhappiness and go back to being happy. Or we just let it go because we know that the long term is going to be far better than whatever you could possibly think is that important at that very moment that the person you love the most in this world needs to feel terrible.
Right.
Like, if you think that way, I don't think anyone at a normal moment will logically think that that isn't selfish. That is just like the most selfish act. To make the person that you love the most in this world feel bad because you want to be right. Which is like, I mean, just listen. I can't say anything else. Just listen to me talk, and you're gonna feel it in your heart that's true.
Right.
So, any closing summaries? Any keys or major keys?
Major keys.
Yeah. Any.
We'll see what things changes when we add a little one into the mix.
Right. Not a pregnancy announcement. Don't go looking into things. Don't be ridiculous.
We'll let you know.
Yeah, we will officially announce a pregnancy on the podcast when it happens. But as for now, don't hold your breath. Any tips for people who may be starting out in a relationship? Or
in a relationship?
Or in a marriage. And maybe marriage specifically for this episode since we just did our 1-year anniversary.
It gets better.
Yeah.
Marriage, it gets better. The first few months are rough. Just adjusting to everything. And I feel like especially as like a woman, like a young wife, society puts so much like pressure, and like going into marriage you have like you have a lot of expectations of like what you think you're gonna do or like what you think you have to do, or almost just like perfection. And then a lot of the times expectations are not reality at all, and learning to like roll with what is your own reality can be really hard if it doesn't match up with what society expects of you or what you think society like wants you to do, or like how you should act or do. And then just learning to live your life besides like the person you love the most that is completely different than who you are and has a completely different background and way that they think about things, and you come together trying to make a life your own, and you sort of bump heads for the first few months before you like slide around and be able to find a way to make it work mutually. But after you figure it out, and you will figure it out, you'll have to, it gets easier step by step. So don't give up.
And I will just echo the words of my good friend Kendrick Lamar. And just for the men out there, my piece of advice is just to sit down, be humble. Because whatever we feel proud about in the moment that we think necessitates an argument or necessitates us being right probably is not a big deal. And that a little bit of humility in that situation to look at the bigger picture and to understand that it's not always necessary to be right, it makes things go a whole lot better. And to put the well-being of our spouse or significant other above our own. It's something that I'm still learning how to do, and something that I wouldn't say I'm particularly good at, but it has definitely become a priority and has dramatically changed my internal emotions and helped me battle some internal turmoils when it comes to our relationship. So be humble and put the well-being of your significant other above your own. As for that wraps up our 1-year anniversary episode. We would really appreciate it if you guys would share your thoughts when it comes to your first year of marriage. If you were one of those people who said that your first year of marriage was awful, maybe you can share your thoughts and we can share those on the podcast so that someone else who may be going through a really difficult time in their marriage, in their first year of marriage, they can gain some insight from your experiences. Please like the podcast and subscribe, and then share it with one person who may need it this week. If you really liked a portion of the podcast, please share it on your social media, share it with a friend, share it over a loudspeaker in the middle of class. I don't really care. Just share it with someone so that they can feel that they are loved and that they may have some hope in their life and in their love life. We appreciate everything you guys have done for us so far and the attention that you've given the podcast. We appreciate all the feedback that you've been giving us. And we look forward to talking to you in the next one.
Bye.